In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your inner brake hose on your Kia Soul. It's located behind the rear wheel. When replacing any sort of hydraulic part in your vehicle, you want to press down your brake pedal using a pry bar or a pole of some sort while you're doing the work so that you do not lose all the brake fluid out of your master cylinder and the brake bleed won't be so difficult. I'm going to use a 21mm socket. Take off my rear wheel. All right, so you're going to use 11mm line wrench. These are special. They're better than the regular wrenches. You don't want to strip your fitting, so an 11mm line wrench is going to do it. Just crack that loose. Again, you want to make sure that your brake pedal is pushed down with a pry bar before you begin any hydraulics. Once you have that loose, you can take some wire cutters or a pry bar, flathead, whatever you got to do to get this slide spring clip loose, and then you're going to pull it out like that. And you're going to follow your hose down to this fitting, and that's the next one you're going to loosen. And you're going to use an 11mm line wrench and crack that loose. Make sure you have a drip pan below. You are going to lose a little bit of fluid. You're going to take your wire cutters again, or a flathead screwdriver, whatever works, and take that one out, spring clip. At this point, we can disconnect our hose. You're going to pull it out. Don't bend your line, especially if it's a little rusty. You may cause more problems, so leave that one still. Just rest that up there, and you're going to disconnect the other side. All right, so you're going to take the rest of that fitting out, pull it back, and then pull the hose out this way. Same thing with this line. You don't want to wiggle it too much or bend it. Just pull the hose out. All right, and then we have our hose. So I'm holding up my new hose with my old hose, making sure the bend is correct in it. And the length is the same. Everything looks good, so now we can install. All right, so we are going to feed our hose through where it lives. I'm going to line up our line. Make sure it's centered. Your hose does fit in the bracket a certain way, so make sure the flat sides are up and down, and the curved sides are on the side. So push it through. You can start wiggling that line in. Sometimes you got to wiggle the hose to get the thread started. Once you're in, you're going to put your spring clip in. Make sure the curved side is facing the front of the car. And you're going to put it in that little skinnier part of the line. You might need a little hammer to just tap it up. Make sure it's secure, and then we're going to go, we can tighten this line up, and then we'll go to the other side. So when you tighten it down, you don't want to tighten too much, so just wrist tight, I'd say. All right, so now we're going to feed our hose into this bracket. Make sure our line is lined up. Wiggle it around a little bit, get that fitting started. Once you know what's in there, you can put your spring clip back in. Make sure the curved side is this way now. I'm going to use my little hammer and tap it in. And we can tighten our line. All right, so now we're going to take our pry bar off the brake and do a gravity bleed. All right, so we're going to check our reservoir, master cylinder, make sure it has enough. This vehicle takes dot 3 or 4. I'm going to fill it up to max. We're going to put our cap back on. And then we're going to go do a gravity bleed. All right, we are going to take our bleeder cap off. Now we're going to use a 10mm line wrench. We are going to crack open that bleeder. And we're going to wait until we see fluid come out. Initially, there'll be some air bubbles, most likely. Once the air bubbles are gone, we can close it down. And that's a gravity bleed. It takes a minute. So be patient. I gotta let it run out for a minute. Doesn't look like there's any air in there, so we are gonna close it down. And at this point, we can check our master cylinder, make sure it's full, and check our brake pedal. If it's squishy, you're going to have to go ahead and do a full brake bleed on the system. If it feels good, nice on the top, firm, take it for a test drive. Don't forget to put your cap back on. Got to put a wheel back on, get a lug nut started. And use a 21mm socket. Start at the bottom, lock the wheel on. And in a star-like pattern, you're going to be tightening them down. We're going to be torquing these later. All right, now the wheel's on the ground, we can torque it to 80 foot-pounds with a 21mm socket. You're gonna do this in a star-like pattern, and then you're gonna check it one more time after. All right, now you can take a deep breath because this job is done. You can take it for a road test. We're gonna follow the brake sequence. It's right rear first, then to the front left, and then to the left rear, and then to the front right. You're gonna take off your bleeder cap, set that off to the side. You're gonna use a 10mm wrench. Crack open that. Make sure that bleeder opens. You're going to use this hose. You want to catch the fluid somehow. So you can use something like this or a pan below. And then you're going to have a partner in the vehicle and you're going to ask them to pump the brakes. And then you're going to ask them to hold. And when they hold, you're gonna open the bleeder. Is that to the floor?
It's on the floor, down.
And then you're gonna close the bleeder. Pump it up, please.
Holding.
Holding, and then I open the bleeder. That's to the floor. Close the bleeder. And do one more. Pump it up.
Holding.
And open the bleeder. That's to the floor. And then close the bleeder. You're going to close that bleeder down. Replace your cap. Let's clean our area. And move on to the next wheel. All right, so now you're going to take your cap off the bleeder, run this one. Place your hose on and do the same thing you just did. So pump it up, please.
Holding.
And you're going to close it. Pump it up, please.
Holding.
Close it. Do one more.
Holding.
All looks good. You're going to close that down. Going to put your cap back on. Going to clean our area. And then you're going to check your master cylinder and add fluid. So now we're going to top off our fluids. Make sure it goes to the max. Our cap back on. After topping off your fluid, repeat the bleed process on the next two wheels, the left rear and the right front. And now we're ready to go back up top and check our fluid in our master cylinder, make sure it's topped off. goes to the max. Put our cap back on. All right, now that you've checked your level on your master cylinder, you're going to get in your vehicle and you're going to check your brake pedal. If your brake pedal feels a little spongy, you might have to bleed your brakes again. If it feels hard and it's right at the top, then you're good to go and you should take it for a test drive.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.